Hey Clayton, I've been listening to your YouTube channel for many years now. Great content. I have a question for you. I bought six rental properties in cash, and then I did a first lien HELOC on each, just to be used as emergency funds. The APR is about 3 to 5%. I am planning to use these funds towards the next rental property purchase. Since the Fed is raising interest rates 6 times this year in 2022, um, what would you recommend me to do with the HELOCs since they are all variable? My original plan was to use the variable rate HELOC to buy the next rental property in cash. Once tenant moves in, I can do another HELOC on it and then repay the other six HELOCs back. Do you see any other strategies that is better than this? How would you do it differently? Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Great question. And there's a lot to unpack there. So, first, let me just say I personally, the idea of buying one property outright for cash, I know it seems sexy, but wouldn't it be amazing if you could buy four properties, right? Just by placing those as down payments and acquiring four properties or five properties with that amount of money. Then you're at, because remember the three stages of real estate investing: buy, own, and cash flow. So it sounds like you're in a stage right now where you don't really need that cash flow, right? If you're able to make these purchases with cash, it seems like you're doing okay in that regard. I don't want to make assumptions, but again, the three stages, you want to acquire as many properties as you can, leverage using other people's money. As long as you're not over leveraged, you need to be smart with your risk tolerance, of course. It's all your mileage may vary, but wouldn't it be great if you could take some of those HELOC positions and use that as down payments and then use the bank's money for the other portion of it, the other 80%, right? So you're putting down 20%. I just think you could grab like five properties that way and then have the bank carry the rest of that. That would be the way that I personally would do it. But again, to each his or her own. And I started out by buying my properties for cash, but then I realized you start running out of cash, right? And so then you have to rely on other sources. So if you have cash, make it go further and keep more of your own cash in your pocket. I want to say this actually. I've been thinking a lot about this, about the idea of cash is trash. And I really don't believe that anymore. I've been thinking a lot about it. And I think what a lot of these like global elites really are pushing us towards is away from paper and coin currency and into a centralized digital currency. You heard that at the World Economic Forum this week. More pushing, they probably within the next 3 years, a global digital currency. A number of people that I have a lot of respect for are absolutely saying the opposite, like keeping your hands in cash, you're making purchases in cash, putting that money, keeping it in a bank, keeping it in a vault, keeping some of that money on hand is actually not a bad thing. We've been sort of lied to, I think, in many ways about cash is trash, because even during the pandemic, they were like, don't use cash. It's dirty. You'll get coronavirus when you touch it. Like literally they said that. Use contactless payments, move to a digital environment. Why? It's all about control, right? It's all about control, and not to go conspiratorial here, but it truly is, and the funny thing about conspiracy theories is that they are just spoiler alerts, right? 6 months later, they always come true. So again, having your own cash and keeping it in your bank and in your pocket and in your vault or wherever you keep it, gold, silver. And I'm not saying cash as in like US tender. I'm saying gold, silver, physical cash in that way, physical money. Absolutely want to keep that on hand, keep more of it, and use the bank's money. So what I'm saying is try to leverage as much as you can on that front. The other part of your question is about the Fed. A number of experts that I talk to on interest or on inflation think that we've kind of leveled out now on inflation. They don't see it running much hotter than this, which is good news, which means we may actually not have to see as many rate hikes as the Fed has talked about. We'll see on that. But again, we did a whole live stream just this week or last week. I'd encourage you to go listen to it and watch it, where we talked about the historical interest rates. And think about the 1990s, a boom time, right? Interest rates were much higher than they are now, even after these interest rates have gone up 5 to 5 or 6% right now, 5.5%, 5%. So in the 1990s, they were up at 7, 8%, and we had a boom in the United States. So, think it's all keep it in perspective, right? that we had interest rates that were kept artificially low for really long at 2.95%, ridiculously low. Like, I don't think we're going to get back to that type of an interest rate maybe ever again, or anytime soon at least. So in many ways, think of this new interest rate era that we're in as more of like a baseline. Now, variable versus fixed. This is a great question. Again, if you can always convert. Most banks will allow, they have both products in-house. And if they don't, just take it across town and maybe convert it there. Go from a variable to a fixed interest rate. You can convert it. Now, what you do, now you say, well, yeah, but it's 6%. Do I want to lock it in at that higher interest rate? Well, maybe. And again, this is totally up to you. But what happens, then you've locked it in. And what happens if it goes much higher? Now you're protected. But if it goes lower, you can always redo the loan and get the lower rate. You're not set there permanently. But if you're in a variable rate and you're not expecting it and suddenly it explodes, right, then you can be screwed. But I think another good point here too is that, you've bought these for cash, so you're not over leveraged, which is a good position to be in. So it really comes down to your risk tolerance. Personally, again, if I'm getting the cash flow and I'm getting my net profit, my net numbers are making sense, I don't care if the interest rate is going to be a little bit higher. As long as I'm still cash flowing, as long as my net number is still solid, and by the way, I'm still in the buying phase, right? Buy, own, and cash flow, buying up the properties. I'm not really worried about the cash flow yet because I'm young or whatever, and I'm just focusing on adding to my net worth, right? And I'm buying it with other people's money, right? And I'm getting the tax benefits of all of this. And then I slowly start paying them off using the tenant's equity money. They're giving me equity, paying down the debt. Then they suddenly pop and they're free. Now I own them. Now I'm in the cash flow stage, right? Now I've got to start buying additional properties because now all of that cash flow is income. And so that's how you offset it, buy until you die. So there's a lot here, but I just want to maybe have you think in a different way about cash and keeping more of it in your own pocket. And then think about how you can lock in certain interest rates to protect yourself. And then you can always change them later if the interest rates drop, if you have a fixed interest rate loan. But it protects you against them jumping up much higher than you anticipated, and now you can't make your loan payments. So again, things to think about. Thank you, everyone, for subscribing to the channel, becoming a member here. It's been great to have all of you grow with us. Please go over to our website. If you'd like to leave us a voicemail question, you can do so by going to morrisinvest.com, and there's a microphone button on the side of the screen. Just click that. And you can leave us a 30-second voicemail question about anything that's on your mind, whether it's financing, real estate, whatever it is, and we will listen to it here. Now go out there, take action, become a real estate investor. I believe it's the #1 way to build and maintain your wealth. We'll see you next time.